Life is not a single stretch of time that we must carry without pause. It is divided into days, each with its own start and end. The Stoics understood that each sunrise presents a new opportunity for practice, growth, and alignment with virtue. Yesterday's mistakes do not have to control today's decisions. Tomorrow's uncertainty does not need to disturb today's focus. Each day is enough in itself. It is a complete unit of life. The idea that every day is a new beginning changes how we approach our choices. We no longer wait for the new year, the new season, or the new stage of life to reset. We begin again in this morning, in this hour, and in this action. Seneca reminded us that while life is finite, each day offers abundance if we use it with intention. Marcus Aurelius wrote that when we rise, we should remind ourselves of our duty to live with strength and clarity. Epictetus taught that we cannot control length of life, but we can control the quality of how we live today. This video will explore how to live each day as a new beginning. The chapters will build a framework rooted in Stoic principles, showing how daily renewal can guide thought, speech, and action. By learning this discipline, we free ourselves from regret and fear. We gain the strength to live with clarity in the present. Each chapter will explain a lesson and give practical ways to apply it. Chapter 1. The gift of each morning. Each day begins without weight. It is untouched, undisturbed, and unshaped until we enter it. The Stoics treated this daily beginning as a sacred opportunity to live by reason and principle. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning that simply waking up was a gift. Life continues not by guarantee, but by fortune. This awareness is meant to sharpen our attention. It clears the mind of complaint. It brings energy to the present. The first thoughts of the day can frame the quality of every thought that follows. The morning serves as the foundation of thought and action. A steady start leads to steadier choices. If the first acts of the day are intentional, the rest of the day is more likely to follow that direction. The mind seeks order. If we give it calm and structure early, we reduce the force of impulse later. The Stoics did not begin the day by reacting. They began by aligning. Before stepping into duty, they turned inward to shape their perspective. This daily preparation was not elaborate. It was grounded in simple, focused reflection. They asked clear questions. What belongs to me today? What belongs to fate? Where must I apply effort? Where must I accept the course of events? These questions help divide the external world from the internal response. A person who begins the day by making this distinction gains a clear path. They are not carried by moods or pulled into distraction without awareness. They move forward with steady intent. To carry virtue into action, the mind must be primed. Morning is the time to decide the tone of the day. Marcus Aurelius wrote that he expected to meet resistance, selfishness, and ignorance in the world. He prepared himself for this without bitterness. This mental preparation gave him strength. It is not the presence of difficulty that breaks us, but our failure to anticipate it. To be surprised by what is common is to invite frustration. The Stoics trained to be unshaken by the ordinary pains of life. This practice of preparing the mind should be brief but clear. It is not a ritual of perfection, but a habit of alignment. A few moments of silence, a short period of journaling, or a walk in stillness can achieve this. The method is flexible, but the goal remains constant. Start with awareness, not reaction. If the first steps of the day are formed by your values, the noise of the world has less power to steer you. This discipline of morning reflection also reduces regret. Many errors are made when we enter the day without preparation. Words are spoken carelessly. Time is wasted on distraction. Standards are dropped in exchange for comfort. These slips do not always come from weakness. Often they come from a lack of readiness. The Stoics understood this and built systems to avoid it. A prepared mind is less likely to be misled. Begin each morning with clarity. Select 3 intentions that guide your thought, speech, and action. For thought, choose something like observe without judgment. For speech, speak with accuracy. For action, move with courage. These intentions become mental anchors. When emotion rises or pressure increases, return to these points. They remind you of your direction. They simplify the decision-making process. They turn vague desire into focused discipline. Keep these intentions with you throughout the day. Write them in a notebook. Carry them in your pocket. Memorize them. The goal is not to recite them, but to embody them. Let them shape the way you respond. Let them become part of how you see the world. By returning to them again and again, you reduce confusion. You live with more unity between thought and behavior. The Stoics did not treat the morning as routine. They treated it as training. They stepped into the day prepared to encounter conflict, temptation, and delay. They were not trying to avoid these things. They were preparing to meet them well. The gift of each morning is not only that you woke up, it is that you are given another chance to act in alignment with reason. That chance must not be wasted. Chapter 2. Leaving yesterday behind. Each day adds weight to the mind. Without discipline, that weight builds and follows us. Regret is one of the heaviest forms of this burden. The Stoics viewed regret as energy directed toward what cannot be undone. To dwell on yesterday is to waste the clarity available now. Seneca taught that the proper way to handle the past is to reflect on it briefly, understand it, and let it go. He described a nightly practice of reviewing the day, identifying errors, and then releasing judgment. Once a day has ended, its events are fixed. No amount of thinking, worry, or shame can adjust what has already passed. To carry it forward without reason is to block the present. The Stoics were aware of the human tendency to hold on to mistakes, but they trained themselves to move forward with precision. If an action was unwise, the task is to learn from it and adjust the next action. Carrying guilt does not improve the future. Each morning brings the chance to start with a clear mind. If you failed in restraint or patience yesterday, that failure does not prevent today's success. The Stoics practiced this separation between past and present. They did not pretend errors never occurred, but they refused to relive them in loops of self-judgment. Mistakes were used as material for improvement, not as tools for self-punishment. The process of letting go begins with review. Before sleep, sit in silence and examine the day. Identify one decision that reflected your values and one that fell short. Be honest without aggression. Do not distort your memory or shift blame. The goal is to understand, not to build excuses. Once you've identified both, accept the lessons and release the rest. Seneca encouraged ending the day in peace. Without this mental closure, the past spills into the next morning. The clarity gained from honest review makes the new day lighter. If a person avoids reflection, mistakes remain unexamined and patterns repeat. But reflection followed by acceptance breaks that cycle. The mind becomes free to act with strength, unchained by yesterday's emotion. This allows virtue to emerge again, without interference from regret. To practice this, build a simple habit of written reflection. Record one action you are proud of. Record one you want to improve. Be brief and specific. For example, I spoke calmly during stress, or I avoided a necessary task. Then write a sentence to conclude the day. I release this day. Tomorrow is mine to shape. This line signals the closure of thought. It marks the boundary between past and present. When the morning comes, treat it as new. Do not revisit yesterday's mistakes unless you are actively learning from them. Do not dwell on what could have been said or done differently. That work is complete. Now the focus must shift to the current opportunity. Each day brings new tests. Energy is limited. Direct it toward action rather than reflection once the day begins. This practice of daily review, followed by deliberate release, creates mental discipline. It removes the clutter of repeated thoughts. It strengthens the ability to reset. The Stoics trained themselves in this habit so they could respond to life with clarity. Each day was treated as a full cycle: action, review, correction, release. This cycle supports growth without guilt and clarity without confusion. Let the past instruct, not dominate. Let today carry the benefit of learning, not the weight of blame. This is the Stoic path to self-respect and strength. Chapter 3. The discipline of beginning again. The strength to begin again must be trained. The natural pull of the mind is toward repetition. Once a pattern is set, even if it brings harm or limitation, it becomes familiar. The Stoics practiced breaking this pull by consciously restarting when needed. They understood that renewal was not passive, it had to be chosen. Epictetus compared life to a play, where each scene must be entered with full awareness. One scene ends, another begins. The actor must be present for both. The mind often clings to what is known, even when it leads to dissatisfaction. A person can remain trapped in the same reactions, the same excuses, the same behaviors. Without interruption, these habits become identity. The Stoics did not accept this drift. They believed that reason could guide a person to pause, reflect, and reset. This act of returning to intention is a daily form of discipline. Starting again does not require dramatic change. It begins with small corrections. A lapse in discipline is not the end of growth. It is a signal to return to the path. One missed day of practice is not a collapse. It is an invitation to continue. The Stoics used each new morning as a checkpoint. They did not expect perfect continuity. They expected effort. Each failure was met with the same response: begin again. A person who applies this discipline becomes more stable. They are less affected by short-term setbacks. They waste less energy on discouragement. Their focus remains on the present task. Even if yesterday was scattered, today can be steady. This mindset builds strength through repetition. It does not depend on mood or external reward. It depends only on the decision to restart. This practice applies to every area of life: speech, thought, habit, and action. If a conversation was handled poorly, the next one becomes a chance to speak better. If a task was avoided, the next moment becomes a chance to engage. The past action is not ignored. It is used as instruction. Beginning again is not denial. It is adjustment. The Stoics trained to avoid self-condemnation. Harsh judgment weakens action. Reflection, followed by new effort, strengthens it. They taught that each person holds the ability to improve. That ability must be exercised, especially when discipline fails. The repetition of this process builds a deeper level of self-trust. The person who knows they can always restart is harder to defeat. To apply this, choose one habit to sharpen. Select something that reflects your values and is small enough to track. For example, waking early, keeping silence in stressful moments, or completing a daily reflection. If the habit is broken, restart it without delay. Do not postpone until the next week or the next month. The restart must begin with the next available moment. This cuts the cycle of delay. Write the habit in a visible place. Keep a simple log. At the end of the day, mark whether you upheld it. If you missed, write a one-line note about why. Then write your intention to resume. This act keeps the focus on action rather than judgment. It teaches the mind that renewal is always possible and always near. Beginning again requires self-honesty. It calls for a clear look at your behavior without excuse or delay. You must be willing to face your patterns, your slips, and your habits as they are. Renewal does not happen through comfort. It happens through deliberate effort. The mind prefers routine and ease. but strength is trained when you move away from that comfort and return to principle. The Stoics respected this process because it demonstrated the use of reason in daily life. The act of returning to discipline after discouragement showed control over impulse and direction. It revealed a mind that was not led by the most recent emotion or mistake. Instead, it was guided by principle. Each deliberate return to effort, even after failure or distraction, trained the mind to remain steady under pressure. Each reset built a stronger internal rhythm. When you choose to begin again, you are reinforcing a deeper message to yourself. You are showing that your identity is not locked inside one decision. You are proving that each choice is a new opportunity to apply your values. This repetition of effort becomes the framework for resilience. It teaches the mind that the ability to continue matters more than the outcome of a single attempt. Discipline is not shaped in large moments. It is built through consistent repetition. It is built in the quiet decision to act when you feel tired. It is built in the moment you return to your standard after a lapse. These moments are small, but they shape the direction of your character. When you continue to recommit to your principles, you build a form of strength that does not rely on success. It relies on alignment. Even when your efforts fall short, the choice to return makes you stronger. When you bring your attention back to what matters, your next attempt carries more clarity. The Stoics understood that lasting discipline comes from this return. A person may fall 10 times in a day, but if they rise again with effort and reflection, they are still walking the path. Each return confirms commitment. This mindset removes the fear of failure. If you know you can always return, you reduce hesitation. You become less likely to abandon progress when results are slow or emotions rise. You trust yourself to keep going. This inner trust is one of the strongest forms of resilience. It builds confidence that your values are more durable than your circumstances. Use this approach in all areas of your conduct. When your thoughts begin to slip into fear or confusion, pause and redirect. Return to clarity. When your words lack care or purpose, stop and choose silence until speech is ready. When your actions become rushed or reactive, step back and wait for the right motion. This cycle of observation and return strengthens your response to daily pressure. Every day gives you the chance to test this process. In the morning, ask yourself where you need to return. In the evening, ask where you did. Review your actions with calm attention. Do not expect perfection. Expect effort. Let each review be a moment to correct and continue. Over days and weeks, these daily corrections lead to stronger habits. This repeated beginning does not weaken the mind. It shapes the character. It builds a person who knows how to return, how to restore discipline, and how to keep moving forward. The Stoics taught that the willingness to begin again reflects stability. That stability is the result of consistent training. Let your efforts reflect this mindset. Begin your day with direction. Let setbacks teach you without freezing your movement. Each act of renewal builds more than behavior. It builds character. With each return, your intentions become more natural. Your habits reflect your values. Your actions follow your principles with less conflict. This is the steady strength that comes from training discipline through the practice of beginning again. Chapter 4. Living the day as a whole. The Stoics taught that each day should be treated as a full and complete life. They did not divide life into long spans of years and decades. They broke it into individual units of time that could be examined and refined. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to live each day as if it were a full life. This approach gave weight to daily actions. It brought precision to small choices. Each day contains the essential parts of life: thought, action, decision, failure, recovery, and rest. To live a full day with presence is to engage directly with life itself. This mindset creates structure. It encourages people to act with attention rather than drift through habits. The Stoics did not postpone virtue to some future date. They applied it now, in this set of hours. When you treat the day as a complete unit, you remove unnecessary delay. You speak with care because this may be your last conversation. You act with purpose because you may not have another chance to act. You avoid wasting time on petty frustration because that time is part of your limited existence. This is not fear, it is clarity. Completeness does not mean exhaustion. It does not mean filling every minute. It means living with full awareness. You attend to what matters. You avoid what distracts. You close the day with a sense of closure. This attitude builds consistency in conduct. It brings a sense of peace, even during difficulty. If the day was lived fully, there is less need for regret. A person who practices this is more likely to live with stability. They move with fewer doubts. They do not hold back words that should be said. They do not carry tasks into the future that can be done today. They have a sharper filter for what deserves attention. This way of living strengthens both discipline and peace. To apply this, treat each morning as a beginning and each night as a conclusion. Let your waking thought prepare your mind. Let your closing thought examine your actions. If the day was lived well, accept it. If it was scattered, study it and prepare to improve. Then let it go. The point is to give the day a proper shape from start to finish. The question, if this were my whole life, would it reflect my values, is a reliable test. Ask it before sleep. Ask it when making decisions. Ask it when tempted to delay a meaningful action. The answer does not need to be perfect. It needs to be honest. This habit grounds your choices in clarity. Living the day as a whole also means accepting its limits. You cannot do everything. You must choose. Choose actions that serve reason. Choose speech that is useful. Choose thoughts that reflect strength. Within a single day, these are enough. Trying to do more often leads to disorder. A complete day is not a loud one. It is not filled with noise or appearance. It is measured by its alignment with principle. A single act of courage, a brief moment of restraint, or one clear conversation may fulfill the day. These small efforts, repeated across many days, build a life that reflects discipline and virtue. Do not seek grand moments. Build your life by completing the day in front of you. Begin it with direction. End it with review. Let each day be full in its own right. Chapter 5. The Morning Reminder of Mortality. Memento mori, remember that you will die, was a central principle in Stoic philosophy. This reflection was not used to induce fear. It was a method to sharpen attention. The Stoics saw death as a fact, not a threat. Life was limited, and that limit gave urgency to action. Each day was a portion of life. Each decision spent part of it. The thought of death clarified what mattered. It removed unnecessary hesitation. It exposed distractions. It reminded the Stoic to act while there was still time to act. If a task was important, it should be done now. If a conversation needed honesty, it should not be delayed. If a principle needed to be upheld, it should be upheld today. Marcus Aurelius returned to this theme often. He reminded himself that many people who delayed action were already gone. Their plans and ambitions ended with them. He wrote that it was foolish to waste energy on what does not matter, knowing how little time is given. Death made action urgent and made time visible. This awareness brought structure to the day. The Stoics did not treat their hours as endless. They saw each day as a distinct chance to live well. The future was unknown. The past was finished. What remained was this day, with all its decisions. Memento mori was a tool to keep the mind fixed on this fact. It was not a theory, it was a daily exercise. By starting the morning with the thought of mortality, the Stoics prepared their minds for purpose. The small distractions of life lost their power. Complaints about inconvenience faded. What remained was a focused attention on what could be done, said, or built before the day closed. This awareness created discipline. A person who reflects on death each morning is more likely to act with clarity. They make fewer excuses. They speak with greater honesty. They are less pulled by status, possession, or argument. They direct their energy toward what has value. This reflection becomes a filter. It separates the necessary from the unnecessary. To apply this, begin the day by asking yourself, if this were my final morning, how would I live? Answer with precision. Choose one act of courage. Choose one act of kindness. Choose one act of clarity. These actions should be realistic and deliberate. Write them down. Carry them through the day. Let them serve as reminders of direction. Examples of this practice may include speaking a difficult truth with calm, offering help without expectation, or completing a task you have been avoiding. The value is not in the size of the act, but in the alignment with your principles. These choices bring structure to the day. They form a quiet commitment to action. Memento mori also strengthens gratitude. To remember death is to remember life. Each breath, each step, each word becomes more valuable. This awareness does not drain joy, it increases it. When you understand that the day is a gift, you stop expecting it to be easy. You expect it to be meaningful. You accept it with readiness. The Stoics used this practice to cut away waste. They used it to reduce complaint, anger, and delay. When you remember that time is limited, you stop trading it for distraction. You hold it more firmly. You protect it from being taken by trivial things. Let each morning be shaped by this clarity. Begin with silence. Think about your limited time. Write your chosen acts. Carry them forward. Review them at the end of the day. Ask yourself, did I live as if this were my only chance? This daily practice will sharpen your attention. It will build your discipline. It will guide your choices toward what truly matters. Chapter 6. Choosing presence over distraction. The mind does not stay still by default. It shifts quickly toward stimulation, repetition, and noise. It seeks novelty to avoid stillness. This habit weakens the ability to think clearly. The Stoics saw this constant mental drift as a serious obstacle to living with reason. They believed that the quality of a life depended on the ability to direct one's attention. A distracted mind is unstable. It is pulled by what is irrelevant and misses what is essential. Epictetus warned that when attention is ruled by external things, the self becomes passive. You lose command of your thoughts and give control to the world around you. Presence is not a mood, it is a skill. It does not develop by accident. It must be formed by consistent practice. The first step is to observe your attention. Track when it slips away from the task in front of you. Notice how often it turns toward noise, thought loops, or pointless comparison. This observation begins the correction process. The Stoics trained this through daily awareness. They watched their speech, their tone, their posture, and their internal commentary. When they noticed drift, they returned to the present without delay. To live a full day, attention must remain close to action. The mind must be grounded in what is happening right now. Each action deserves presence. Listening to someone requires more than hearing words. It requires stillness and full focus. Completing a task requires more than checking a box. It demands care and engagement. Even walking down a street becomes different when done with attention. The day becomes sharper. Decisions become cleaner. Distraction interrupts this clarity. Some distractions are external, devices, conversations, interruptions. Others are internal, rumination, expectation, judgment. Worry is a form of distraction because it removes the mind from the present and projects it into uncertain outcomes. Regret keeps the mind fixed on the past, which cannot be changed. Envy pulls attention towards someone else's life and away from your own effort. All of these patterns fragment awareness. The Stoics practiced presence through focus and refusal. They focused on what was necessary and refused to follow thoughts that had no purpose. Marcus Aurelius advised himself to stay where the task is. He reminded himself that the present moment contains all the material needed for right action. The mind must be kept where the body is. If it is somewhere else, action weakens. To build presence, create small checkpoints throughout the day. These are fixed moments where you return to awareness. These can include the moment your feet touch the floor in the morning, the act of drinking water, the moment you enter or leave a room, the pause before you speak. These points are simple, but they train the habit of returning. When done consistently, they strengthen focus. Ask yourself throughout the day, where is my mind? Do this during basic tasks such as walking, brushing your teeth, waiting in line, or preparing food. If your thoughts have drifted into prediction, complaint, or distraction, stop and reset. Use your breath, your senses, or the feeling of your feet on the ground to bring attention back. This technique does not take extra time. It builds presence within the time you already live. Attention is a resource. Where you place it decides the shape of your day. Give your attention to fear, and fear gains strength. Give your attention to effort, and discipline develops. The Stoics taught that attention shapes the soul. What you look at becomes what you carry. If your attention is scattered, your mind becomes noisy. If your attention is steady, your actions become clearer. Presence is more than mental clarity. It is the foundation for integrity. You cannot act with discipline if your attention is absent. You cannot speak with honesty if your mind is split. You cannot make wise decisions if your awareness is clouded. Every act of virtue begins with attention. Without it, virtue becomes theory instead of behavior. Let each day be shaped by your ability to return to the moment. Do not treat this as a demand for constant focus. That is not the goal. The goal is to return quickly when focus is lost. Let presence guide how you sit, walk, work, and speak. Let it define your response to tension and distraction. Each moment that holds your full attention becomes a moment of practice. A single full moment is more valuable than many scattered ones. At the end of the day, reflect on where you were present. Note what pulled your mind away and when you noticed it. Over time, you will recognize patterns. These patterns give you targets for adjustment. You do not need perfect stillness. You need regular return. This is how presence is trained, by noticing, correcting, and recommitting. The Stoics knew that a life is not built in the future. It is shaped by how you live today. And today is shaped by where you place your attention. Live each task as if it matters, because it does. This is the Stoic way to build a strong mind. Chapter 7. Action builds alignment. The Stoics taught that philosophy must be active. They believed that principles only become real when they are expressed through movement. Thinking with clarity is important. Speaking with understanding is important. But both are incomplete without action. A Stoic does not stop at belief. They work to make their conduct match what they claim to value. If the body does not move in alignment with the mind, there is no full development of character. Daily life provides many chances to test this alignment. You wake up with a thought about discipline. That thought becomes real when you choose to rise on time. You believe in service to others. That belief becomes real when you speak kindly or offer help without being asked. You value honesty. That value becomes real when you tell the truth in a difficult moment. These are not dramatic acts. They are ordinary. The Stoics trained to make the ordinary meaningful. The simplicity of these actions does not reduce their weight. When repeated with intention, they shape identity. A day is built from these decisions. Each one contributes to the stability of your habits. The Stoics viewed action as a form of repetition. Each right act trains the body and mind to return to principle more easily next time. When done consistently, these actions remove confusion. They build directness. Marcus Aurelius warned that delay weakens the will. The longer you wait, the more the mind builds resistance. Delay turns a small task into a source of friction. This friction spreads. It affects your mood, your clarity, and your ability to focus. Taking action quickly removes this build-up. It simplifies. It returns control to the present moment. Hesitation becomes a habit when left unchecked. The Stoics trained to remove this habit by deciding quickly and acting immediately. The purpose of fast action is not speed, it is commitment. By acting, you reinforce the direction of your character. Even small, simple actions build internal structure. Delaying action does the opposite. It lets thought remain abstract. It weakens the link between values and behavior. Epictetus made a sharp distinction between what is ours and what is not. The act of beginning a task belongs to you. The outcome does not. This separation brings focus. It helps remove unnecessary fear. If you concentrate only on what you can choose, your timing, your intention, your effort, then your mind becomes more stable. External results lose their grip. Your inner standard becomes your guide. This is the value of acting without attachment. You train yourself to focus on the effort, not the reward. You train yourself to take action without needing praise or comfort. When the action reflects your values, the work is already successful. This approach builds endurance. It strengthens the ability to act without needing approval or perfect conditions. A well-lived day is made from consistent motion. Each act must be deliberate. Choose 3 actions every day, one that requires discipline, one that tests courage, and one that expresses kindness or service. These choices give your day shape. They keep your focus practical. They let you test your ideas in real conditions. When repeated, this practice strengthens the link between identity and behavior. Avoid carrying tasks into the next day. The mind becomes crowded when too much is left undone. This mental clutter reduces energy. The Stoics cleared this clutter by acting early and finishing completely. If a task belongs to today, do it today. This removes the pressure of delay. It also increases confidence. You see the results of your effort. You trust yourself more with each completed step. Use structure to support this way of living. Write down your essential tasks at the start of the day. Keep the list short. Aim for quality, not volume. Begin with the most important. Act with full attention. At the end of the day, review what you did. Do not judge yourself with emotion. Study with honesty. Learn where your energy dropped. Learn where your discipline held. Use that information to shape tomorrow. Let your actions show your priorities. Speak clearly when truth is needed. Continue your habits when fatigue appears. Help when the situation calls for it. These moments are the proof of growth. They reflect your development better than any opinion or plan. They confirm that your values are being lived. The Stoics did not depend on long discussions. They depended on action. They built discipline with repetition. They built courage through application. They built character by treating each day as an opportunity to train. They knew that philosophy meant nothing unless it could be acted upon in daily life. Let your actions serve this purpose. Let them carry the full weight of your intention. Use them to make your day complete. When you live this way, each act builds alignment between who you are and who you are becoming. Chapter 8. The Power of Directness. The Stoics valued directness as a practical method for living with clarity. They viewed it as a way to align internal conviction with external behavior. Simplicity in thought, word, and action was a sign of strength. When a person spoke with precision and acted with focus, their conduct reflected stability. Directness was a result of discipline. It removed unnecessary complexity. It created room for honest self-examination. Complication in speech or behavior was a signal of misalignment. The Stoics understood that a tangled mind leads to tangled action. When intentions are not clear, speech becomes inflated. When values are not firm, action becomes scattered. Directness is not aggression or speed. It is the absence of confusion. It is a clean line between thought and execution. An indirect mind creates delay. It asks too many questions at the wrong moment. It adds uncertainty to decisions. It weakens confidence. Directness begins with asking clear questions. What is necessary? What is true? What is useful? Once these are answered, the path forward requires no decoration. The Stoics trained this ability through removal of false praise, unnecessary opinion, untested assumptions, and wasteful tasks. Epictetus warned that speaking without meaning or acting without belief splits the self. It creates a gap between what is said and what is done. He called this double-mindedness. This condition produces friction. A person who holds one idea and performs a different act creates confusion within themselves. Directness unifies. It forces a person to examine what they stand for and follow through on it. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the value of simplicity. He reminded himself that the best course was to do the work directly in front of him, without complaint, without distraction, and without spectacle. A clear act was stronger than a complicated plan. When effort goes directly toward what must be done, the mind stays organized. Drama and display only slow progress. Directness in speech serves two purposes. It helps the speaker by removing self-deception. It helps the listener by offering clarity. Speech that avoids exaggeration and stays close to fact allows others to trust what they hear. This makes decisions easier and conversations cleaner. The Stoics saw this as a moral act. It respects the intelligence and dignity of the person listening. To develop this trait, practice restraint. Speak less, but with more weight. Ask yourself before speaking, is this necessary? Is this grounded in fact? Is this useful? If not, hold silence. Speech should serve the conversation, not the ego. When silence replaces empty words, relationships become more stable. Your words gain strength when they are rare and deliberate. Apply the same precision to action. Ask yourself, does this task support my values? Is this choice based on clarity or on impulse? Remove tasks meant only to impress others. Remove habits that exist only to fill time. Build a schedule that reflects what matters. Direct action clears the mind. It reduces internal conflict. Directness is also useful in thought. Examine how often you complicate decisions. Ask how much time is lost in inner debate. The Stoics did not avoid thinking. They sought to make it sharper. When thinking becomes circular or defensive, it loses its purpose. Direct thought moves toward resolution. It ends with an answer, a decision, or a committed pause. To train this, keep a short journal. Write down one situation where you were direct in speech, action, or thought. Then write one moment where you hesitated, exaggerated, or avoided. Study the difference. Look for patterns. Repeat this daily. The goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness followed by correction. Living with directness reduces wasted effort. It increases your capacity to respond quickly and clearly. It builds inner consistency. When your thoughts, speech, and behavior are aligned, your energy is focused. There is less mental drag. There is less emotional noise. The result is a quieter mind and a stronger will. This practice of refinement helps remove confusion from daily life. It sharpens your sense of responsibility. It teaches you to speak with intent, to act with focus, and to think with purpose. Each time you do this, you build the habit of living with structure. Let your speech match what you mean. Let your actions reflect what you value. Let your thoughts lead you toward what matters. This is the purpose of directness. It is a form of self-respect. It is a way to move through the day with precision. Chapter 9. Practice without applause. The Stoics placed little value on recognition. They trained to act with consistency whether watched or unseen. Public approval was viewed as unreliable. They understood that praise can shift easily. What was celebrated one day can be ignored the next. Anchoring motivation to such unstable sources weakens judgment. The Stoics preferred to root their conduct in something firmer, principle. Virtue, for them, was its own reward. It needed no audience. Right action was measured by reason, not by applause. Praise was not treated as encouragement. It was treated as noise. If it aligned with what was already true, it changed nothing. If it contradicted what was right, it was discarded. The Stoic practiced for the sake of refinement, not recognition. Seneca wrote that a good deed does not grow stronger by being seen. It does not gain weight because someone praised it. Its value exists in the action itself. The Stoic must therefore ask not who is watching, but whether the act is worthy. This approach shifts focus inward. It removes dependence on response. The work is judged by the standard of reason, not the reaction of others. A mind that needs validation loses direction. It begins to modify behavior to maintain praise. This opens the door to compromise. A person may soften truth to avoid criticism. They may perform virtue to receive attention. They may hold back judgment to avoid losing approval. The Stoics saw this as a threat to character. They trained to resist it by acting without performance. When the reward becomes applause, the intention is no longer pure. It is aimed outward, not inward. The Stoic corrects this by practicing in silence. He does the work even when no one is there to admire it. He applies discipline even when no one is tracking it. He speaks truth even if it is ignored. This silent effort forms the basis of strength. To train this in daily life, choose specific actions to keep private. Perform acts of service without speaking of them. Complete a task without mentioning the effort it took. Let results appear without explanation. This method tests your intent. It removes the extra layer of performance. It places your focus where it belongs, on the action itself. This is not a rejection of social life. The Stoic is not hidden. He may lead, he may teach, he may serve others publicly. But his core does not rely on public response. His clarity does not rise and fall with attention. His compass points inward. His behavior is anchored by reason and reflection. There is peace in this quiet. A Stoic does not need to defend or advertise his choices. If the action is right, that is enough. If it reflects virtue, it needs no echo. This mindset builds confidence that is quiet and enduring. It allows for solitude without insecurity and action without explanation. At the end of the day, this principle can be tested with a simple question: would I still have done this if no one had known? This reflection reveals motive. It shows where the need for approval has influenced your behavior. The goal is not to eliminate every impulse for praise, but to reduce its power. When approval is no longer necessary, freedom expands. Quiet practice develops self-respect. You begin to trust your decisions without needing confirmation. You learn to stay the course even when the outcome is unnoticed. This builds strength that does not shift with opinion. It allows for steadiness in action and consistency in values. Let your daily effort be enough. Let your action carry its meaning without needing witness. Let your discipline remain even when silence surrounds it. This is the practice the Stoics lived. It trained their minds to be independent and their character to be stable. When applause is removed, what remains is truth. Build your life on that. Chapter 10. Begin again every day. The Stoics treated each day as a full cycle. They trained their minds to reset each morning, not based on the previous day's success or failure, but on the responsibility of the present. Each sunrise was seen as a clean starting point. It was an open field for decision, effort, and alignment. What had been done yesterday was already outside their control. What could be done today was their concern. Beginning again was not treated as a motivational phrase. It was a method. This method involved clearing the mental space of residue, whether regret or pride, and redirecting thought toward what mattered now. A Stoic did not wait for ideal circumstances. He worked with what was present and made use of it. The mindset was simple: start the day with attention, use the day with discipline, close the day with review. A single deliberate act can shift the tone of the entire day. A direct conversation can repair tension. A moment of stillness can settle emotional turbulence. A return to journaling can clarify scattered thoughts. The Stoics trained for these internal corrections. They knew the value of reclaiming the day rather than surrendering it to inertia. This was part of their strength. They responded to drift with redirection, not with despair. Each morning required mental preparation. This preparation was not ceremonial. It was structured. It included reminders of what was within control. It included expectations of resistance from within and without. It included a return to the reason for effort. A Stoic day did not begin with chance. It began with direction. Marcus Aurelius practiced this with written reminders. He would start the day with reflections about the duties of a person in his role. He expected difficulty and reviewed how he would meet it with patience and firmness. He reminded himself of death, of duty, and of the brief nature of life. This process strengthened his posture and clarified his behavior. Epictetus taught that each part of the day provides an opportunity to train. A morning routine is a test of order. A conversation is a test of honesty. A moment of anger is a test of self-restraint. Each test is a chance to return to principle. The benefit of this view is that it removes the excuse of waiting. The work of character does not need better conditions. It only needs presence and willingness. This approach to daily life was steady and repeatable. It did not require perfection. It required participation. Each act of alignment was a form of progress. A Stoic measured the value of the day not by comfort or praise, but by the quality of his decisions. If the day had been scattered, it was studied. If it had been steady, it was repeated. The measure was internal. The improvement was incremental. At the close of the day, the Stoic did not ignore weakness. He faced it. The practice of nightly review was not for blame, but for clarity. It helped identify small errors in speech, in mood, or in focus. These insights were recorded and used. This discipline created a loop: intention, action, reflection, correction. That loop became the foundation for growth. The rhythm of Stoic practice is consistent. Wake with purpose, act with clarity, reflect with honesty. This pattern gives shape to each day. It turns the abstract idea of virtue into a physical process. It teaches the mind to remain alert, especially when tired or tested. It transforms scattered days into structured ones. Let each morning be treated as new, not by forgetting the past, but by stepping forward with clarity. Do not carry hesitation into the new day. Do not delay your return to right action. Begin again, not with pressure, but with commitment. Begin again with the simple goal of acting in line with what is within your power. Let the day speak through your actions. Let your choices reflect your preparation. Let your final reflection guide your next start. This is how the Stoic lives, by using each day fully and accepting its weight. Let each day be used with purpose. Let each day be closed with review. Let each day stand as its own complete effort. This is the foundation of strength. This is the habit of beginning again.